We've got Zach from Dulwich.
Oh, hello, Zach from Dulwich.
Stephanie from Devon.
Oh, hello, Stephanie. Oh, yeah, Steph, you've been tuning in as well, haven't you? Yeah, really, really warm welcome, everybody. So do make sure that you've got everything that you need, i.e. a mat and a space. And yeah, I think we'll get started now. So really, really warm welcome. Thanks for tuning in, whether it's your first time or you've been coming for a few times or lots of times to these online yoga classes. My name's Anna and I'm one of the teachers here at the London Buddhist Centre, one of the yoga teachers. And she was talking about, or we were talking about, how much we're appreciating all of the walks that we're doing around our neighbourhood. And it's a neighbourhood that we both know really well because we actually grew up around there as well as living there now as adults. And yeah, we were talking about this one particular street that she's been walking up and down, and just about how she couldn't quite believe how beautiful it was. It's like we've always known that it's quite a nice street, like, oh yeah, that's a really nice road. But at the moment, it's like the beauty of that street has been elevated. And she said something like, she was like, I couldn't believe that the trees had always been that big. And that she was wearing sunglasses, and she actually took her sunglasses off to sort of test whether that everything looked brighter and more beautiful because she was wearing sunglasses or just because of her state of mind. And it was the latter. She, yeah, and the other thing she said was that she wanted to stop the other people in the street and sort of say, look, like, look at how beautiful this is. Look at the trees and the flowers and the amazing houses. And yeah, it just got me reflecting a bit on appreciation, because of course, you know, that street that we've walked up hundreds of times over the years hasn't really changed, but our ability to appreciate what is on that street, that's what's changed. And in a way, when we come to practice yoga or any kind of embodied practice, it's not necessarily that our body changes a huge amount, but our ability to appreciate our bodies and our breath. And that's the thing that changes. So, yeah, I just thought that we could sort of practice coming into that appreciative awareness today by, well, really just being grateful for the fact that we're here, that we're practicing. In a way, the most difficult part of a practice, of a yoga practice, is often just getting onto your mat. And from then on, perhaps you could allow yourself to come into that appreciative awareness of your body. I have this one teacher who is really, she's really hot on sort of positive self-talk. So she would ask us in training, like, how's your back today? How's your spine? Or how's your how are your hips? And mostly the answer is like, oh, bit tight, yeah, a bit, you know, feels a bit constricted, or it's like we only come into awareness of a part of our body when it's giving us trouble. And she was very, very much encouraging us to sort of flip that around in our heads, and as we practice, instead of being like, oh, my back feels so tight, just being like, I have the best spine in the world, and I'm so grateful for it. So yeah, with that in mind, we're going to start to practice now. So let's start down on our backs and just have the soles of your feet down flat, and just lie down. Make sure that the back of the neck is lengthened by just tucking the chin a little bit, drawing the chin down towards the chest. And just taking a couple of moments to settle here. The eyes can close. And just acknowledging, recognizing the effort that you've made to come and practice, to carve out this time, to practice, to become aware of what's going on in your experience right now. And then just beginning to feel into the body by feeling the contact between the back of your body and the ground. Can you breathe into the back of your body? Feeling the back of the rib cage swell against the mat as you breathe in. And soften as you breathe out. Okay. And then keeping the pelvis really heavy on the ground, just go ahead and reach your right leg up towards the ceiling, take the hands to the back of the thigh, interlace the fingers. And then just start to roll through the ankle there. Just take a few rolls around in one direction. Make the circles quite slow and quite big. There might be noises there. Just tuning into those, and then change the direction of the circles. Just tuning into how the ankle feels. And then a couple of times, nice and light, just bending into that right knee and then straightening it again. And try and keep the shoulders heavy, keep the upper body soft. If the knee doesn't straighten all the way, that's okay. Good. And then from here, straighten your right leg and then slide the left leg out long. So you've got two straight legs. And then take your left hand onto the front of your left hip and let go of the back of your right leg. And then it's not going to be a big range of motion posture here, but we're just going to turn the right toes a little bit out towards the right side and then start to send the right leg a little bit out towards the right. And once you feel your left hip start to lift up, then just rein it in a little bit. So use the left hand to press the left hip slightly down so that you've got the back of your hips still on the floor. And then can you reach away through the inner right heel? Good, and then come back through center. And then take it the other way. So start to lean the right leg towards the left-hand side. You can take your left hand onto your belly if you like. And then again, try and keep the back of the hips down on the ground. And again, reach away through the inner right heel. So even though you're not going very far into the posture, you can probably feel quite a substantial sensation or some sensation down the inseam of your right leg. Good, and then come all the way back to center, and then nice and slowly lower your right leg down to the ground so that you've got two straight legs. Arms release down, close your eyes, just pause, notice whether the two sides of your body feel different from one another. And then let's change sides. So sole of the right foot comes down to the ground. Lift the left leg up into the air, interlace the fingers behind the thigh. And then slow, smooth circles around your left ankle. And smoothness of the breath there. So just tuning in gently to how the ankle, the leg feels. And then change the direction of the circles there. And then a couple of times just bending and extending that left leg. And then next time you straighten the left leg, pause and just slide the right leg out long. So you've got two straight legs. And just notice whether any stories are starting to arise about, if you think of yourself as somebody with tight hamstrings, and just notice that. And take the right hand onto your right hip. Left arm releases out to the side. Just turning the left toes out to the left and start to lean the left leg a little bit out towards the left-hand side. So once you feel gravity start to pull it all the way down to the extent that the right hip lifts, just pause, maybe rein it in a little bit. You might feel a little tremor, a little bit of shaking. That's okay. See if you can stay with that for just a moment. Good. And then coming all the way back through center, you can just move the right hand so it's on the belly, and then leaning the right leg a little bit to the left-hand side, reaching away through the inner heel. Good. And then coming all the way back through center. And then nice and slowly, just lengthening the left leg out long. So you've got two straight legs. You can close your eyes, just pause for a moment, notice. You can let the feet fall out to the side. Just notice how the legs feel. Good. And then just bring both knees into the chest. Roll over to one side. And transition over to hands and knees. And take your time. Yeah, spread the fingers wide. And then from there, let's take the right leg back. So you straighten the right leg. And then lift up the right heel so that it's about in line with the right hip. So feel the back of the right leg switch on. Try and keep both hands pressing down into the ground. And then a few times from here, we're going to start to bend the right knee, only to 90 degrees. So don't worry about bringing it all the way into the sitting bone. So the right heel lifts up towards the ceiling, and then straighten the right leg away. And then just a couple more times. So you start to feel the back of that right leg switching on. Pressing both hands down into the ground. Good. And then right knee comes down next to left. And then same thing, second side. So left leg goes back behind you. Try and keep both hands pressing down into the ground. Reach away through that left heel. So feel the back of the leg switch on. And then start to bend the left knee. And then straighten the left knee. So just to 90 degrees. So the left heel presses up towards the ceiling and then towards the back of the room that you're in. Or maybe you're in the garden. Good. And then left knee comes down next to right. A couple of cat-cows here. So just come into a small back bend as you breathe in, lift the chest. And then as you breathe out, round the spine, relax the head. A couple more times. So breathing in, extending through the front of the spine, lift the chest, look up. And then exhale to round the spine and really press the floor away so you feel the shoulder blades separate. You might want to wriggle a little bit from side to side. Just take one more of each. Good. And then come through center and tuck your toes. And then from there, come into downward facing dog. So lift the knees up off the ground. Press the hands forwards and lift the sitting bones up. And then let's walk out the legs. So bend a little bit deeper into one knee as you stretch the opposite heel down towards the ground. And then change sides. So nice and slowly just bicycling out the legs. Feeling the sensations through the back of the legs. And feeling the sensations in the whole of the body. I'm just grateful for this opportunity to come into awareness and hopefully into an appreciative awareness of the body. Okay. And then from there, come down to hands and knees. And we're going to take a bit of a calf stretch here. So hopefully you've got a mat at home. If you don't, you can do this with a cushion. You're going to roll up your mat to somewhere probably about a third or halfway up, depending on how thick your mat is. And then from there, walk right up to the mat. And then place the balls of your feet on the mat and the heels off the rolled up bit. So hopefully you can see that there. Yeah. And then we're going to come into a forward fold. So you're going to bend the knees, fingertips down towards the ground, relax the head from there. So you might start to feel this a little bit lower down the back of your legs, into the calves, maybe into the ankles. It might feel quite intense. So really try and press down through the balls of your feet, which are on the rolled up mat, heels on the ground. And then if this is enough sensation for you, then stay as you are. Or walk your hands forwards so you come into a sort of short downward facing dog. And then you can keep the knees bent or you can straighten the legs. Try and keep pressing the balls of the feet down. The heels might want to lift up and just try and keep the heels quite heavy. It probably feels quite unfamiliar, maybe a little bit uncomfortable. So if you can just stay with it for just a couple more breaths. Good, and then just pad yourself back and unroll the mat. Well done. Okay, and then just step to the front of the mat in a forward fold. And just notice the difference between the forward fold with your the balls of the feet on the rolled up mat and the feet on the ground. Just relax the head for a moment. And then soften the knees even more and start to coil your way up to standing. So the spine unfurls, the head comes up last. Spread the toes into the ground. So feeling sort of rooted down to the ground, but also as though the energy of the spine kind of lifts the crown of the head up. So you've got this dual sense of being rooted, but also rising up towards the sky. And we're just going to take a couple of sun salutations here. So as you breathe in, lift your arms up over the head. And then breathe out, soften the knees and come into a forward fold. And then breathe in, come halfway up. So take the hands to the shins and lengthen the spine. Look up. And then as you breathe out, take the right, just touches the ground. Breathe in to straighten the back leg, so the thigh is engaged. And then breathe out to bend the back knee. One more of those, breathing in and breathing out. Good, breathe in, straighten the leg, and then plant the hands. Step back to downward facing dog from there, breathe out. So tailbone lifts up. And if you've ever been to a yoga class, a yoga teacher might have given you this adjustment where they come up behind you and sort of press your thigh bones back. I can't really show you because there's only one of me, but if you want to, you can kind of imagine that somebody's sort of drawing your thigh bones towards the back of the room, lifting them slightly up and drawing them back. Just take a breath in there. And then as you breathe out, step the right foot through to between the hands, and again come onto your fingertips. This time, really high on the ball of the back foot, breathe in. And as you breathe out, any amount, straighten your front leg. So you've got 2 straight-ish legs. Couple more times. Inhale, bend the right knee. And then exhale to straighten. Last one, breathe in. And breathe out. This time, breathe in, bend the right knee just a touch. And then breathe out, step the left foot to the front of the mat. Come halfway up as you breathe in, spine lengthens. Breathe out, fold, fingertips to the ground. Press the feet down into the ground, circle the arms up. Breathe in, look up. And breathe out, release the hands down. Okay, second side. So inhaling, arms lift up. Exhale, soften the knees and fold forwards, fingertips to the floor. Halfway up as you breathe in, the spine gets long. Press the feet into the floor. And then breathe out, fold and step the left foot back. So you're in quite a long lunge. So breathe in there. The back thigh is really firm. Breathe out, left knee touches the ground. Keep the toes tucked under. Breathe in, straighten the left leg, lift from the left inner thigh. And then breathe out, bend the left knee. One more time, breathing in. And breathing out. And straighten the left leg, breathe in. Plant the hands. And then breathe out, step into downward facing dog. Spread the fingers out wide. And again, you can imagine the thigh bones grounding back in space. The heels getting heavier. The spine getting longer. The head getting heavier. Back of the neck is long. And then bend the knees a little bit, look forwards. And then step the left foot through to between your hands. High on the ball of the back foot, breathe in. And then breathe out to straighten the left leg, any amount. Yeah. Breathing in, so just working somewhere that is reasonable for your body. Yeah. Breathing out, the left leg gets a little bit straighter or a lot straighter, doesn't really matter. Breathing in, seeing if you can stay with the sensations. Breathing out. Last one, breathe in. And breathe out. Good. And then bending into that left knee, step the right foot forwards, forward fold. Hands up to shins, lengthen the spine forwards, draw the belly slightly in. And then breathe out, fold forwards, relax the head, look down. Good, this time as you come up, sweep the arms up and really lift the chest. You can come into a light back bend here. So lift the chest, lean a little bit back, look up. Good, and then release the hands down towards the ground. Mountain pose. Okay, let's come into some standing postures. So step the left foot back. So you've got the right foot forwards, left foot back. And come into warrior two from there. So bending into the right knee, arms out wide. Look over the front middle finger, but keep the gaze quite soft. And let's take the awareness into that front foot. See if you can send the front knee out towards the right, but press your right sitting bone forwards. So you have this sense of a kind of external rotation through the right thigh. And then really root down through the right heel. Good, and then from there, reach forwards through the right hand and take the right forearm down onto the right thigh. Circle the left arm over and up, side angle pose. If you've got a bit more range of motion, you can take your right hand, dip softening down. Again, see if you can press that right sitting bone forwards. And then turn the chest up. Good, and then from there, look down towards your front foot. Start to straighten your front leg. You can shuffle the back toe slightly in and come into triangle pose from there. So right hand comes down to right shin. Left arm is going to keep reaching towards the front of the room, or in the same direction as your front foot, I mean. Yeah, so instead of reaching up towards the ceiling, it reaches forwards. You might find that that right hand can come down to the ground. So it's kind of like more of a side bend here. You can let the left ribs lift up. Good, and then pressing into both feet, come back up to standing. Rebend your front knee and come into reverse warrior. So left hand down, right arm reaches up. Couple of breaths. Keep bending into that front knee. Good. And then look down, cartwheel your hands down, and press yourself back into a downward facing dog from there. And feeling your feet, feeling your hands. Good. And then from there, we're going to roll forwards, coming into a high plank pose. And then take the knees to the ground and start to roll the thighs down to the ground, bend the elbows, and come into a cobra pose from there. So elbows hug in, slide the hands a little bit back, chest moves forwards, and then slowly lower all the way down to the ground. Good, and then we'll come up in reverse. So roll the shoulders back, lift the chest. Hands are quite light on the ground. So it's mostly the strength of your back muscles lifting you up. Good, and then press the hands into the ground and come back into downward facing dog from there. Tuck the toes, lift the hips. Good, and then look towards the front of your mat. And step forwards from there. Come halfway up as you breathe in. Ground the thigh bones back. And exhale, fold. Relax the head. Breathe in, lift the arms up. Again, lift the chest. Lean a little bit back. Reach up through the ring fingers. And then release the hands down. Good, and then we're going to do the same standing sequence on the left side, or with the left foot forward, so right foot steps back. Good, so the left toes point straight ahead, and the right toes point out towards the right, so the back foot's parallel with the short edge of your mat. Bending into your front knee, take the arms out wide. And then, taking the awareness into that front leg. So seeing if you can send the left knee out towards the left side, and then pressing the left sitting bone, or in my case, I'm pressing the left sitting bone towards the Buddha. Yeah? So I hope that makes sense. Nice and strong through that back foot. And then from there, reach forwards through the left hand, left forearm down to left thigh. Right arm reaches up and overhead in line with your right ear. And keep bending into that front knee. If you've got a bit more range, you can take the left hand down to the ground inside the left foot. I'm going to stay here. Elbow to knee. Rotate the chest. Good, and then from there into triangle pose. So the left hand comes down towards the left shin. Keep reaching the right arm forwards. And then round your right ribs, slightly up towards ceiling or sky. Arms to lift you back up. So press into both feet. Come back up to that T position. Rebend your front knee. And then right arm down. Left arm reaches up and back. Keep bending into that front knee. Keep reaching up through the left fingertips. Keep breathing, feel the whole body. Good. And then from there, the hands are going to cartwheel down towards the ground. Downward facing dog. Spread your fingers wide. Good. And then from here, high onto the tiptoes, roll yourselves forwards. Knees come down to the ground. And then slowly, slowly, the thighs come down, the hips come down. Maybe the belly button comes down, and then pause. Hug the elbows in. Lengthen through the crown of the head. And it's as though you're trying to drag the hands back towards your feet. And then really, really slowly lower all the way down to the ground. Take a breath. And then slow and smooth with control, lift the chest. Slide the shoulder blades a bit down your back. Come back into cobra pose. And then straighten the arms. Tuck your toes. And come back into downward facing dog. Good. Feel the breath. Feel the body, contact between body and ground. And then the rising up from the ground. Just take a couple more standing postures from here. So let's step the right foot forwards. Spin on the ball of the back foot, ground the back heel. And this time come into warrior one. So bend into that front knee. Keep the hips more or less facing the front of the mat. And then lift your arms up. Again, see if you can reach up through the ring fingers. Lift the chest. Maybe lean back a little bit. Keep pressing into that back heel. If it doesn't feel good on your back knee, you can just lift the back heel up. That might relieve some of the pressure there. Good, and then from there, take the hands onto your hips and straighten your front knee. So you've got two straight legs. And then take the hands to behind your back and grab a hold of opposite elbows. If you want to take reverse prayer, and that's a part of your practice, then you can do that instead. Spread the toes of your front foot and then start to lean forwards. See if you can lead with the heart here. So try and elongate through the crown of the head rather than letting yourself round down. Yeah, so hopefully you can sense the difference there. So it's quite strong on that front leg. See if you can recruit the back leg to sort of help you out here. Good. And then bend a little bit into your front knee. Release the hands. And then we're going to come into a balancing posture. So your fingertips are going to come down to the ground. And then your left leg is going to lift up. And I quite like to press up through the left heel. So I'm flexing the left foot. So your right knee can be bent any amount, or it can be straight-ish. You can take one or both hands to your right ankle. Just see if you can stay with it for a couple more breaths. Well done. And then a big step back with the left foot. Plant the hands and draw back into downward facing dog. Well done. That's really tricky. So if you found it hard, then you're not alone. Okay, Perhaps the two legs feel different from one another. I know mine do. Let's change sides. So step forwards with the left foot this time. Turn and ground your right foot so the foot's on a 45-degree angle. Bend your left knee and then lift your arms up. So see if you can keep pressing into that back heel and dropping the front thigh, lifting the chest. Warrior one. Again, if there's pressure on that back knee, then just lift the back heel up. That's a good option. Good, and then from there, straighten your front leg. Take the hands onto your hips for a moment. So try and keep both hips more or less pointing towards the front of the room. As you lean the chest forwards, it's like the hip bones, your left hip is rolling slightly back. You can even put your thumb there just to sort of guide it back and slightly in. And see if you can lean forwards, reach forwards through the crown of the head. And don't worry how far down you get. Even if it's quite a small movement, that's completely fine. Good, lovely. And then release the hands, bend your front knee, and then hop forwards and take the fingertips down to the ground. And then lift the back leg up, flex the foot. And you might be down here. This is really good. This is quite a tricky posture. So if you've got a bit more range, a bit more experience, you might lift the leg up a little bit higher. You might find that you've got the balance to take one or both hands around the standing leg. You can let the head relax here. Yeah, so you just look down at the ground. Well done. And then bend the standing leg a little bit more. Take a big step back. Well done. And draw back into downward facing dog for the last time in this class. Hopefully not for the last time ever. Good. And then just take the knees down to the ground, untuck your toes, and come back into child's pose. So bend the knees, hips soften back, forehead comes down to the ground. Let's take a couple of slow, deep breaths there. Just appreciative of the body, the breath that took you through the practice. Good. And then from there, just rolling your way up to sitting. We're going to come into a wide-legged forward fold. So take the legs out to a position that is comfortable for you. And if you've got a bit less range in the backs of your legs, you can sit on a cushion or a block for this, and you can bring the legs a bit closer together. And then just take the hands onto the hip creases. Yeah, so the point where your hip points, your hip bones, sort of end, and the tops of the thighs begin. And then press quite strongly down into that place, right at the top of the thighs. Yeah, and then from there, see if you can start to lean forwards, keeping the spine nice and long. Flex into the feet. So as you press the thighs down, it just gives your hips a little bit more space to rotate over the tops of the thighs. Try and stay with that. And then you might want to stay where you are with the hands on the tops of the thighs, or you can take the hands down to the ground in front of you. You might want to come down onto forearms. We'll be here for a little while, so try and work in a sort of zone that feels reasonable for your body. Yeah? And just see if you can accept whatever that is for you right now. So if you can feel your whole body, so not just the parts where the sensations are a little bit stronger. Seeing if you can scan the awareness through the body, through the arms, through the torso, the head, as well as the legs and the feet. And then just following the breath a couple of times. Good, and then just easing yourself out of that forward fold. And then make your way down onto your back. So back where we started. So soles of the feet down flat. Roll. And take the arms out a little wider and just allow the knees to sway from side to side. So some of you might know this is sort of my favourite thing to do. It's one of my favourite yoga poses, if you can even call it that. Just feeling whatever you're feeling in the pelvis, in the legs. And then you might want to keep moving. You might want to keep moving through this posture, or this little cycle. You might want to come into stillness and perhaps spend a little bit of time in a reclined butterfly. So you can take the inner edges of the feet together and the knees out wide. You might want to bring the heels in towards you. So lift the heels up and then take a hold of the outer edges of the feet and just sway a little bit from side to side. So just tuning in and seeing if there's anywhere that your body wants to take you. If there's anything to explore. Or you might be ready to just lie down and extend the legs. So just taking another few moments just to work through anything. That's one of the nice things about practicing at home. You can, to a certain point, you can do your own thing. And then whenever you're ready, just making your way down into a still place. If you're at home and you can put your legs up the wall or put your legs up onto a sofa, then that can feel really nice. So either bent knees, legs on support, or just shuffle yourself all the way up to a wall. As close as you can get up to a wall, and then just rest the heels on the wall, rest the legs on the wall. So if you can stay longer in whatever position you've chosen, then that's probably a really good idea. And if you're working to the 45-minute mark, then we're just about there. So you can start to move. Perhaps moving the fingers and the toes, or taking a stretch of the arms over the head. And then just making your way up into a seated position. Closing your eyes when you get there. Just grateful for having made the time to practice, to cultivate that appreciative awareness of the body, of the breath. Just this opportunity to be alive, to be present to our experience. So we're just going to end with a short quote by a poet that I really like, a poet and a Celtic mystic called John O'Donoghue. May I live this day compassionate of heart, clear in word, gracious in awareness, courageous in thought, generous in love. When you're ready, just slowly opening the eyes. And just giving yourself a moment or two to just come back into the room or the garden or wherever. And as ever, I'm really, really grateful that that you choose to practice with us, with the London Buddhist Centre. So thank you for coming and sharing your practice. So as I mentioned at the beginning, this is the first day of a course that we're running all week called, and if you'd like to sign up to the course, you can do so. I think there's a link underneath this video that can take you there. We've got lots of events. We've got Subhadra Mati this evening is going to be leading our first extended evening session, which is going to be 2 hours long, so it'll run from 7 till 9. And it'll include meditation and Dharma input and storytelling, so I really recommend that you make the time for that. And as ever, we're incredibly grateful for your generosity, for your donations. We have a link at the bottom of this video that will take us to our Just Giving page, so if you're in a position to give, then and hope to see you all soon. Bye bye.